All right, boom. So Lions knock off the Ravens. This is really, really sad and pathetic for Baltimore. Um, you know, I think they have major issues. A lot of places. This is the first time in a while. Buffalo beat Baltimore, but they didn't whoop them in the trenches. Detroit really whooped Baltimore in the trenches. I thought whether it was an offensive line or a defensive line. They whooped Baltimore. Dave Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs. I mean, I could have drive a truck. I could drive my car through the holes that Lions offensive line were blowing open. That was really, really good. They destroyed them. Baltimore could not stop the run. That's the first time in a while I've seen Baltimore just get gashed like that in a run game, and just like have no resistance, like just no. They really made no plays in the run game. Detroit really could run the ball whenever they wanted to. That was the first time I've seen that happen to Baltimore in a very, very long time. Um, and to see them get punked like that and just get out physical at line of scrimmage in their home stadium was really shocking to me. Start the game. Once I saw that continue out the game, especially in the second half, I knew the Ravens defense was like, okay, this is officially a concern because you know what Detroit's going to come try to do to you, and they're going to do it until you stop them. And they did exactly what they did, exactly what it showed on the field, like what they always do, and they punked Baltimore in the trenches, and they said Baltimore gonna keep doing it until you stop it. So that was my first concern, uh, and it's just this defense that Baltimore has to give up 40 points to Josh Allen, 40 or 41 to Josh Allen the way you did on the road versus a team that just knocked you out of the playoffs. So you're their last two games before the Cleveland and Detroit, they were 0-2 versus the Bills, playoff and a week one opener on the road. So that was embarrassing. You would think there'd be some extra motivation there. I guess not. Then you go and beat Cleveland. The only one right now Baltimore Ravens have is beating the Browns. That's not impressive for a team that's trying to make a run at the Super Bowl and go win a championship. That's not impressive. You got to be better than that. Now, the season just started, only 3 games in, but you got to be better than that if you're going to be Baltimore. Uh, and then to come here and for your defense to give up 38 points. So, I mean, the two teams that you have played that made the playoffs last year put 40 points on you. This reminds me a lot of Dan Lanning at Oregon. Any offense that the Ravens play that actually has a pulse just destroys them. Zach Orr, I remember him coming up when he was playing Madden, that kind of stuff, Madden Mobile, Madden on the PlayStation. You stink. I think people have to understand that there's only one Mike McDonald, and it always happens that okay, well, he may not be the last guy, but he was an understudy, so hopefully he can be as good. It usually doesn't work out, man. Zach Orr is not the answer. His defense stinks. This team has no fight on defense. They got no nasty about them. What really bothers me, I'm thinking about it now, is how nobody is really saying it. Like usually, like you see with Chris Jones and the Chiefs, like he's out there calling people out. They fighting on the sidelines. Kelsey and Reed. For the Ravens, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, it's kind of just whatever. I question if they even care. Like, does anybody even give a damn in an organization? Is there any fight? Like, when a defense playing that bad, I'd like to see somebody get heated. Like I just feel like that's how you know it matters to people because they're on the field and they're getting pissed off about it. They're getting at a coach, they're getting at a player, they're calling people out. We got to be better. We need to fit this on the side. It's just like I don't see any of that emotion from anybody. It's just like these plays are happening and then Baltimore's like, okay, well it happened, and they walk over the sideline like a bunch of losers. Like after this team looks like a team full of losers. That's what it looks like at the end. To get punked like this in front of your home crowd is just embarrassing. They got punked at their home stadium, flat out. And that defense is pathetic. Zach Orr needs to be fired today. Baltimore is that they have to have one of the worst defenses in the league. That stinks. Zach Orr, the fact that I still haven't seen a notification that Zach Orr has been fired tells me a lot about John Harbaugh, and how bad of a coach he is. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, um, I'm really disappointed because I was thinking this during the game. Like after this game was going on early in the game, I was thinking about going back coming from the Bills game and going into this game. I was like, what does Roquan Smith do that makes him so elite? And that's what I left the game really wondering. Or early in the game was like watching the game. I was like, what is Roquan Smith doing right now that makes him the superstar linebacker? Because I'm not seeing it. He stinks. He can't move side to side. I haven't seen him get run around so many times. Not even funny. I will say he stinks going lateral. But what does he do that makes him a superstar? Roquan Smith does not do anything on the field that makes him a superstar. Kyle Hamilton, I don't even notice him anymore. And I'm not saying these guys' fault, but I'm just trying to figure out what is wrong because you would think guys like this, it didn't matter what coach or what scheme, how good or bad the coach would be, that they would find a way to dominate games. And when you talk about superstars, that's what you really talk about. Like, okay, no matter what, you're going to dominate. No matter if the coach is, whatever is going on, you're going to dominate. And I just haven't seen that. I don't know what makes Kyle Hamilton the best safety in the league right now. Right now, I look at a guy like Derwin James after what he's doing with that defense, after what I seen him do on, was it Monday or Thursday night versus the Raiders, and the plays he was making. I look at him. That's what I expect Kyle Hamilton to be doing, forcing picks. And no matter what, it should be a stat for this. It should be a stat if you cause an interception. You should get credit for that. But that's what I look at when it comes to um, Kyle Hamilton. I'm not seeing that. Uh, and that's really disappointing to me. Being a big safety, being a guy that's supposed to be known, oh, you can play the run, you can play the pass, you can guard tight ends. We can put you in the slide D, we can get you on receivers. You can do it all. But you have free safety, strong safety everywhere. Corner, bring you off the edge, play it at inside linebacker. There's not a position really rush off the edge. Like there's not a position bring you up the middle on the blitz. There's not something you can't do on the field. And right now, I don't see any superstar plays from Kyle Hamilton. I just don't see superstar in him. I don't see superstar in Roquan Smith. I just don't see it. And again, not saying it's their fault, but I just try to figure out what is making those guys superstars. I just don't see it. And the only person I would look at probably and say, okay, this guy has really been doing his job to me at a high level is Nate Wiggins. If he wants to have a role in Seattle, he's welcome. We got a family-sized home for him in Seattle. But that is the only thing I look at with Baltimore. I'm like, that's or not only thing, but that's one of the main things I look at with Baltimore is like, what is happening? Uh, like, why are these guys not playing at superstar level, and what's the problem? That defense is too good, and the concerning thing for Baltimore is this is supposed to be their year. This is supposed to be the Ravens' year. The roster is loaded. So many dudes. I don't know if this is about as good as it gets when it comes to the NFL roster. This is the year for them to go make a run, and the fact that they're this bad this year, I think if I'm the Ravens, I'm thinking about tearing it down. Yeah, because if you can't win with this court, when are you ever going to win? I'm thinking about tearing it down. And when I say tear it down, I don't necessarily mean the players, but it could be the coaching staff. It could be the front office. It don't gotta just be. I don't just mean the roster. It don't gotta be players. They could keep the same and then look at, hey, let's go turn on coaches. Let's go turn on the front office. But something has to change out of the organization. I really feel like as if the Ravens. And being a Seahawks fan, I'm so glad this only just. I didn't need any more faith or confidence, but this just makes you feel better knowing how right I was that the Ravens lost their next what I think is the next Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll and Mike McDonald. I've been open and saying I think he's the next Pete Carroll / Bill Belichick. I think when it's all said and done, Mike McDonald will be the next Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll. I think that's what he is. I think that's what he's going to be in Seattle. I think Baltimore missed there. I think Baltimore fans will look back on organization and say we should have hired that guy as the head coach. We should have made him the head coach because John Harbaugh is not going to. We're not going to win a Super Bowl with John Harbaugh. I'm just telling you now. You're not going to win it. That defense stinks. The offense looks out of sorts. I haven't got to the offense yet, but they look out of sorts. They didn't look like they were humming. Don't let the 30 points fool you. It didn't look. It was an ugly 30. I'll tell you that. And some garbage. It was a garbage time touchdown and all that stuff. But besides the point, either way, like it just. Well, not even besides the point, but it just doesn't look good top to bottom right now. And looking at even look at the GM Eric DeCosta, right? You look at him and you're like, okay, that's been a big thing for him has been putting weapons around Lamar and drafting high level receivers, and that still hasn't been done. Getting DeAndre Hopkins ain't no high level move. Rashad Bateman ain't no high level. He's good, but he ain't a needle mover. Zay Flowers has a chance to be a needle mover, but he's somebody I'll talk about too because I haven't seen enough from him. That collapse in Buffalo, he played a part in it. People look at you and oh yeah, you're next up, and I just haven't seen him take that next step. You a good player, really good, but when are you gonna be a great one? Will you ever be a great one? That's what I look at for Zay Flowers. When is that next step coming? No way you come out of a game with 13 receiving yards. Like, there's just no way that should happen. Like, how do you get taken out of the game the whole game? Like, you're supposed to be the number one target at receiver, and that's how you play. Like, Lamar should be able to count on you to get open, and then they should have a connection too. On top of that, that's concerning for me with the Ravens too. Is Zay Flowers? If you're gonna have this lackluster of a receiving room, you need Zay Flowers to be dominant, and he's not being that right now. And him and Lamar, I don't know if they got some kind of beat, but they need to put the gloves on. Him and Lamar need to put the gloves on and fight it out, because that's definitely concerning. It's definitely not something you want to see. Definitely something that can't. It can't. You can't see that if you want to see the Ravens win the Super Bowl, you can't see Zay Flowers be that bad and he's taken out of a game. It can't happen. If that's gonna happen, they ain't winning nothing. So I say that right now. So that has to get fixed. On top of that, on top of the just the horrible job they did with that receiving room, they put nobody around Lamar. Um, on top of it, you look at this Ravens offensive line, right? They look horrendous. Outside of Linderbaum and Ronnie Stanley, I'm not a fan of anybody else on that Ravens offensive line. Those are the only two dudes I think I know are studs on that offensive line. Other than that, I don't look at anybody else on the Ravens offensive line and say, "Oh my gosh, that's a dude." I just don't see it. And so I think again another spot where the Ravens just haven't done a really good job of putting that a high level offensive line around Lamar to get sacks. Now some of those sacks were just coverage sacks. They did a really good job, and on top of that, they did a really good job on coverage. And then they had a spy waiting for him. So when Lamar tried to go make something happen, boom, sack. So a lot of those sacks were not just telling you they just got beat, but it was just like, okay, good coverage, and then he tried to run and they had a guy waiting for him, which is just really good defense. And Lamar talked about that. He's not gonna throw no Hail Mary ball to get picked nothing like that, which I respect. That's smart and stuff like that. But again, this goes back to the fact that I think when you look at that Ravens receiving room, in the lack of ability for dudes to be consistent open, and lack of it looks like Lamar trust. Like they don't have Lamar don't got a connection with any one of those dudes because it's a connection. Really, I think led to all those sacks because of the fact Baltimore, Detroit had everything covered and no one was really getting open. And then Lamar's trying to run and he's getting sacked. You're getting quarterback sacks. And so, but that off the line just that did not is not high level. I think they've done not the best job when it comes to off the line. The only spot they've done a really good job is they've been giving him consistent running backs: Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Keaton Mitchell was looking good before he got hurt. Like he's had some high level running backs. He's had some really high level tight ends, likely Andrews. They've done a good job. I remember when they drafted Hayden Hurst. He didn't pan out, but they've done it. They've tried to, and they've tried to help a receiver too. But they did a really good job with that pick. They tried to invest in that tight end room, and I was a massive fan of Isaiah Likely. Coming out of school, out of Coastal Carolina, he was a should have been a first round pick. Was a monster coming out of Coastal Carolina. But that outside of tight end and running back, what other position have they done a really good job of putting around Lamar? Like I said, I think this Ravens team is going to need to blow it up. Now, and like I continue to say, it's not just hey, I'm talking about they need to blow it up with the player in the roster. I ain't it could be what I'm talking about blow it up. I'm talking about just whether like I said, I continue to say either it's in the front office or it's with the coaching staff, but it needs to be blown up. I don't know. I don't think John Harbaugh's going to win a Super Bowl at all. I don't think he's got not in AFC. Now you got to go to Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin and some of these guys you're going to have to go through. You're not going to win. You're not going to be able to beat them dudes. You're not going to be able to beat those dudes. Sean McDermott, you're just not. You don't have. You show you don't have what it takes to beat those dudes and those teams come December and January. And so you just show that you don't have the what it takes to beat those teams when it matters most. And so I think this Ravens team needs to blow it up, whether it's in the front office or the coaching staff. I'm mainly talking about those two spots, and move to a different direction. Who that is, I think Ravens fans need to start looking around, right, at coordinators, not looking at. I done heard some of y'all say, "Oh, we coming for Seattle. Let's give them a call." It ain't happening. So Ravens fan, you need to let that go. You missed your opportunity. The chance to get Mike McDonald, he was already in your building doing a phenomenal job, and Eric Carson said they didn't want him at head coach. And it's Ravens fans, let that go. I'm just telling you now, the dude ain't leaving Seattle. It ain't happening, bro. It ain't like we a college team. No, it ain't happening. So Ravens fans, look at coordinators or maybe some coaches who are struggling elsewhere who you know are really good. But look at coordinators and see who you can hire. Don't come looking at Seattle think you coming to get Mike McDonald back because it ain't happening. So just you let that dream go. Dream about somebody else as an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Don't dream about Mike McDonald because he ain't coming back to Baltimore. That's time he's coming back is to whoop y'all with the Seattle Seahawks. That's the only time he's coming back to Baltimore is to give y'all a whooping. But other than that, he ain't coming back, right? So just let that go because it ain't happening. And start looking around and seeing who an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Now give it time, 3 weeks in, so the person may not be evident, but keep watching around. You think that can come in here and win immediately. I don't have any names on top of my head, but I definitely think if I'm the Ravens, that's what I'm doing, looking around and see who we can go get. Maybe and if I'm the Ravens, I'm definitely looking at a team, lower level team that has a really good coach that maybe be on a way out and it just didn't work out where he was at, but you know he can coach. You know, kind of like Sean Payton. You knew Sean Payton could coach. Just it just was over. This time with the scene was just over. It just wasn't going to work out. They were two different directions. But you knew he could still coach. Denver went in. They knew that too. They went and made a great hire. And so I try to think about the Ravens. I'm looking at either a Sean Payton type of thing. Mike Vrabel, same thing there. Titans made a dumb decision, didn't work out. You knew he could still coach. It just didn't. The organization was just they didn't know what they were doing. So I think I'm looking for that Mike Vrabel, Sean Payton type of situation. I'm looking for that Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald. Hey, next great defensive and offensive mind that we know can come in here and turn things around like that. I'm not sure. I think they kind of. I will say this with the Ravens. The fact that one comes to my head right now, we'll see. We'll see as the season goes on. I'm not sure how deep of a how many of those guys are that evident. Like, is it going to be a deep year to go get a coach, a coordinator to make a head coach? Is it going to be the year for that to go get a home run guy? I'm not so sure about that. We'll see what comes available though. But I think if I'm the Ravens, that's what I'm looking around and trying to make that move and trying to go get somebody. I know somebody said Brian Flores. Like I said, uh, I actually wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at Brian Flores. Knowing what the defensive pieces the Ravens got, if he can make the right hire offensive coordinator and kind of let somebody take over that, then I could definitely be a fan of Brian Flores. I know he can win. And so I think Brian Flores probably the number one guy right now. Because what he would do with that, what the pieces Ravens got defensive, what he would do with that unit, what his expertise in defensive football, he would really transform that team. Like I said, that's somebody I definitely would look at on the Ravens. Flores, I just came to my mind, but that's what I'd be doing, Ravens fan. As it comes to the Lions, isn't much to say. For the Lions, what I say about the Lions, I wasn't high on them coming into this year. I was really impressed by John Morton and Kelvin Shepard. Really, really good game plan from Shepard, um, and really, really dominant game from Aiden Hutchinson. He has announced himself back to call. Like I was waiting for him to kind of. I think it was 6 sacks or something. He's been putting up numbers, but I'm waiting to see him explode. And this is the game. Like okay, that's because players coming off injury or like when they're young in the league, like you want to see them have that game. It's like okay, I'm alright. I'm here. And Aiden doesn't have that game where it's like okay, I'm back. Like start putting me back in defensive player of the year conversations. I've arrived. I'm not just an elite player. I'm one of the best in the league. I'm back to that level now. I think that showed yesterday, especially in the fourth quarter. Forced the fumble on Derrick Henry. Get a sack on Lamar. He took that game over in the floor. I said the other day, this guy's taking it over right now. So really impressed with him. I think he definitely needs to be in those defensive player conversations. He announced himself back yesterday to that, not just being an elite player, but hey, I'm back to that. I can take a game over defensive player type of player. So I give him credit for that. Myles Garrett, by the way, oh my gosh, he is playing at defensive player of the year level. He's a monster. I've done seen him wreck everybody. I have seen every team the Browns play. He done whoop somebody up front. I think, except for I don't know. I know about the Ravens. As the Ravens, everybody else, and I'm sure he whooped the Ravens too. But everybody else, other two games I've seen him whoop. He destroyed Green Bay, destroyed Cincinnati. I think he had almost three sacks in a row versus Cincinnati. So he's on fire. When I thought maybe he might, cause I was looking on some stuff, betting stuff, and I was like, okay, 15 out of 6. I'm not sure if he gets that. That dude might get 20 something sacks. The way he's had it, the way he's having, and even if he doesn't, forget the sack. If you just watch the game, you could tell his impact is defensive player of the year level. He's not slowing down no time soon. He's a monster. Feel bad for any quarterback or lineman has to go against it. When left tackle turn their quarterback to run, you know you're doing something right. So that guy is aged I tell you, once in a generation. He's special. And so that was really impressive. But yeah, for the Lions, I think it comes down to this. I think for teams like the Lions, same thing for the Chiefs. Same thing for some other teams, Bills. The season doesn't start for y'all. Y'all are in that category for me as teams. Like the season doesn't start for y'all till January. Like the Lions season started 2026. This doesn't really mean nothing for the Lions. They are impressing me, like I said. But for the Lions, your season started 2026. What I mean by that is, what y'all do in the regular season doesn't matter. As long as we know y'all gonna win the regular season, we know y'all gonna make the playoffs. The difference for the Lions is this: the Lions have shown they can win the regular season. They're gonna be one of the top teams in the NFC. Can they win come playoff time? And I don't think Jared Goff is that quarterback. I don't think you're gonna win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, and I don't think it. I know it. You know, and I that's the question I have for Detroit. Can they win with Jared Goff as their starting quarterback? That's my question. Will this defense collapse like it did last year in the playoffs? That's my next question. That defense, not only did Jared Goff play a horrible game, and threw for 3 picks, 1 pick six, got decapitated on one of the pick sixes. That was horrible. But that defense collapsed. Jaden Daniels and the Commanders ripped them to shreds in Detroit too. It was embarrassing. Almost like how they just came with Baltimore in Baltimore. Like it's one thing to lose, but to lose in front of your home teammates at home where you should be playing your best is really embarrassing. And they got a whoop by the Commanders at home, which is I don't think no one really expected that. For the Lions, it's like my questions no longer hinder them. Like they showed me enough at this point. 3 games in, I was low on them, a little bit lower than most people. They showed me enough. They're one of the teams they enter that category. Like, okay, we know you're gonna win the regular season. What are you gonna do come playoff time? Will you be a dominant team come playoff time? Will Jared Goff be the one in the Super Bowl as a starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions? I say heck no. Will this defense collapse come playoff time? We're gonna find out because I know I love DJ Reed, but outside of him, I had questions about Terry and Arnold. I was not high on him coming out of school. High on guys like DeJean and some of those guys. Nate Wiggins. Some other guys. There's some other guys I like more. But beside the point. How? Well, that's the thing about Detroit. How are you gonna fix up these weaknesses? Because if Terry Arnold struggling out, he gonna get. You can't have those holes come playoff time. People are gonna pick at him, and that's what the Commanders literally did. They picked at y'all, and they picked at y'all's weaknesses. So that's my question. Will the defense collapse? Will guys like Terran Arnold get picked on come playoff time that leads to a defensive collapse? And will Jared Goff be able to be a big time quarterback and make big time plays in big time football games come January? That's my question for Detroit. It's relatively no longer matters to me when it comes to Detroit. There's nothing Detroit could do to answer these questions. They just have to go to the playoffs and prove it to me at the end of the day. So that is it.